Hello and welcome to the Blue Water Running Podcast. I'm your host, Maren, and the podcast is back for the outdoor track and field season. I'm excited for sunshine, warm breezes. Okay, probably snow, hail, freezing rain, gusting wind, etc. But I am excited to get back out watching Blue Water area athletes achieve amazing things. It's time for the 2025 outdoor track and field season preview. Over the last few months, I've been looking at results from last year's season to compile the predictions and probable performances for this year's season. The statistics I use to write the season preview include the BWAC, MAC, and Catholic High School League results, Blue Water area meets such as the Marysville Invitational, Muskrat Invitational, Blue Water Meet of Champions, the Thumb Meet, and the Macomb County Meet, and of course, the regional and state finals qualifying and placements. A couple of notes about the process. Consistency was king. When looking at so many performances across a months-long time frame, there had to be consistent participation and placement by an athlete throughout the season to really get a feel for their performance or improvement potential. It didn't include incoming freshmen, who would be last year's 8th graders, as sometimes they end up participating in a different spring sport or they just don't come out for track in high school. I also did not factor in the majority of PRs that came from any meets last year that were hand-timed, nor will I use them for top times or marks lists this season. When you see PRs for everyone across the board by huge margins at a hand-timed meet, especially in sprint events, that's usually a sign that the times are inaccurate. So with the requirement of fat timing for state meet qualification, it's just a more reliable standard. Early qualifying marks, or EQs, are going to add a new dynamic to reporting on racing for this year, as athletes can now meet a state meet qualifying mark earlier than regionals, which will likely change the landscape of Michigan track and field. An EQ is defined by the MHSAA as an athlete who achieves the mark in any round of a valid pre-qualified event which meets the proper standards, fat timed and 6+ teams. That means you're qualified to participate in the LP Lower Peninsula Finals in that event. Obviously, regionals would be an EQ meet. Finally, I know I will miss someone who deserves a nod or a mention. With such a large amount of data across a long period, it is just inevitable. I do cross-check and reference and scour athletic.net repeatedly, but Blue Water Running is just me. I work a full-time job during the day, and that sometimes includes wrangling some kindergartners. So doing this for free, sometimes things get missed. I'm human. Also, my apologies now if I mispronounce your name, because I'm sure I will. All right, let's get into the season ahead. We will start out with the sprints, the 100 and 200 meter dash. So the 2024 graduation of North Branch's Grace Clemens, who dominated for quite some time in the BWAC, leaves a pretty significant hole in that area, but fellow Bronco Aubrey Deshetsky was second only to Clemens in the few meets in which she did enter the 100-meter dash. She has a best of 13.45. Deshetsky also was part of that North Branch school record-breaking BWAC and regional championship 4x100 team, so she has some solid experience in the 100. Penelope McNutt from Imlay City was only a freshman last season in 2024. Still, she was consistently in the 13-second range in the 100-meter dash. She had several sub-13-second times, and she had a pretty impressive list of achievements. She won multiple dual meets, the Bad Axe Hatchet Invitational, and was second to only Clemens in most of her runner-up finishes, including her regional. She was one of only 9 girls who made it to the D2 state meet as a 9th grader, so she has a year of experience and growth behind her and a wide open field in which to make her own mark as a sophomore. St. Clair's Ashuna Johnson has run a 13.5 in the 100 as well. Almont's Lola Battaglia was 4th at the BWAC championships in the 100 and 200 meter sprints last year. She has several podium finishes at invitationals. She was the D3 regional champ in the 200 and second in the 100, which both qualified her for the state meet, and she ran her 200 PR there of 26.65. Armada's Christina Semyon and Allison Mansfield saw pretty major improvements in their sprint speeds over the winter as they ran indoor. Semyon dropped a 29-second best from her outdoor season to an indoor state qualifying time of 27.22. And then Mansfield dropped from a 29 outdoors to a 27.78 indoors. Yale's Madeline Sepsi and Julia Ferguson were pretty fast freshmen. They were 5th and 6th in the BWAC in the 200. And Crosslex's Ava Oleski was second in 27.75, and she was part of the BWAC Championship 4x200 relay. So any of those three could put up a pretty good challenge in that event. Port Huron High's Malencia Price had a very productive winter. She competed indoors for the Motor City Track Club. She runs in D1 outdoors, Port Huron High's D1. She qualified for the Indoor MITS Championship sprints in the 200 meters with a best of 26.35. Her very first high school season was actually her sophomore year, so she's made pretty significant progress in a pretty short time. Anchor Bay's Brooklyn Chadley has run 13.5 in the 100 and a 27.7 in the 200. Moving on to the 400 meters, or as some people like to say, the most god-awful event in track and field, but that is an opinion and can be debated. As in the 100 and 200, Malencia Price had major improvements in her 400 as well. She dropped her personal best from 70 seconds outdoors to 61.2 seconds indoors, and that's with 2 extra turns. So pretty impressive. Semyon and Mansfield also saw significant time drops in their 400-meter dashes indoors. Price and Semyon are pretty closely matched in the 400 time-wise, PRs of 61.02 versus 61.74, respectively. But they won't race head-to-head outside of any invitational competition because Price is a D1 athlete and Semyon competes in D2 for Armada. Mansfield and Semyon both ran a 69-second best outdoors last year, and then Mansfield dropped that into the 62-second range indoors, which shows some pretty good promise for their outdoor season to be even faster. Ayanna Brown of Anchor Bay, she was the only freshman last year who took her 400 time from a 65 to a 62 to take third at the season's end at the Macomb County Championship. She also has run on the 4x1, the 4x2, and the 4x4. Aubrey Sargent of St. Clair has run in the 63-second range. Armada's Brooklyn Kuhn and Yale's Madeline Sepsi have both dipped into the 61s. Armada's Claire Cizak had an open 400 best of 63.6, and she has run at the state meet in both the 4x4 and 4x8. Croslex's Elizabeth Stanfield tipped into the 64s as a freshman and also chipped in on the 4x4 relay, so some more 400 experience there. And while Yale's Sadie Dykstra doesn't really compete quite frequently in open sprint events, she did win the 200 meters 3 out of the 4 times she ever raced it. And then the 400, both times she gave it a try, including one of those being a victory against Grace Clemens. And she was also a part of the Bulldogs' undefeated 4x400 meter relay, which took 5th at the state meet. So let's move into mid-distance to distance events. Once again, here's Aubrey Deshetsky from North Branch. She doesn't really run the open 800 very often, but she has the incredible athletic versatility to do well if she did. In her only attempt at the event in 2024, she ran a 2:39. But as a freshman, she'd done it in 2:27, just a handful of times as well. Port Huron Northern's Haley Sharp, Isabella Nestel, Samantha Langolf, and Miley Cockle formed the Blue Water Track Club, and all of them have raced the Open 800. Sharp has an indoor best of 2:44. Nestel has an outdoor best of 2:39. Cockle has gone 2:40 indoors with a 2:37 outdoors, and Langolf 2:41 indoors. And then Marysville's Addison Stevens ran a 2:41 to win the MAC Gold last year. Algonac's Kate Bennett won her D3 regional meet the last 2 years in a row. Her PR is 2:34, and she has qualified for the state meet in this event for 3 years. So she's got really solid experience. St. Clair's Aubrey Sargent dipped her toes into the 800 a few times over the last 2 seasons with a best of 2:37, but just hasn't raced it consistently. And Brooklyn Kuhn of Armada ran a 2:28 open and then has also run on the Armada Tigers state qualifying 4x8 the last 2 years. Now, Croslex's Eva Thompson is mainly a 1600, 3200 runner, but she definitely has enough speed to easily put down a mid or sub 220 time. She might run in it if they need to score points in a BWAC competition, but we will see. Samantha Whitlam of Macomb Lutheran North was only a freshman when she won the Catholic High School League. She was second at regionals, and she was one of only a handful of ninth graders who ran in the 800 at the state meet. She has a best of 221. She was also fifth in the 400 at the Macomb County Championships in 63.5 seconds, and she spent a lot of the winter racing indoors, so that should benefit her outdoor racing as well. Speaking of Eva, let's move into the 1600 meters. So, will Eva break the 5-minute barrier this year? All signs point to yes. When she was pushed by the best in the state at the D2 state finals, she ran her lifetime best of over 10 seconds to clock in at 5:01, taking sixth place and earning All-State. The only second place finish she had all season was to Goodrich's Cameron Lounger at the North Branch Invitational and then again at regionals, but she was faster than Lounger in the postseason at the state meet. Thompson broke the BWAC record of 5:12, and she won the Marysville Invitational and the Blue Water Meet of Champions. Now, we're going to talk about Eva again in the 2-mile segment, but just so you know, the records that she's broken, Leah O'Connor went on to become a fantastic All-American runner for Michigan State and then actually competed in the Olympic trials. So that's some pretty big records to be taken down. Alana Wessel of the Macomb Athletic Club for Homeschoolers set a new indoor PR of 5:08 and is technically the fastest in the Blue Water area outside of Thompson. Thompson didn't dip under 5:10 until the state finals in the postseason. As a homeschooled student, Wessel is just not eligible to participate in regionals, so it's probably unlikely she and Thompson will ever race head-to-head, but if they did, it would be an interesting matchup. I'd like to see that. Port Huron Northern has several distance girls who I've already mentioned that have been running all indoor season, and any of them could try the mile this year, and I think do fairly well. Samantha Langolf ran her first indoor attempt at the 1600. She took 15th in 5:41, which was 10 seconds faster than what she had already done outdoors. And then Haley Sharp ran 5:35 as a freshman last year. Emma Reimer of New Haven High School has shown immense improvement this season. She ran a new personal best by almost a full minute over last year's outdoor time. Her PR is 5:36, and she finished right behind Kate Bennett in the 800 in the D3 regional to earn a spot in that event at States. Dryden's Kara Prusikevich, she has a 5:47 that is faster indoors than her outdoor best of 5:54. So she's on track, no pun intended, to see growth in this event as well. However, she scratched at regionals last year, so I haven't really seen her on the state track stage, but I think she would do well in D4. Almont's Layla Evola won her D3 regional in 5:50 and was in the top 21 places at the D3 state meet. She also has a PR of 2:42 in the 800 and 12:57 in the 3200. So as mentioned previously, Eva Thompson is the defending BWAC champion, and she set the record at 11:34. And she was first in every 3200 she entered all season until the regional meet, where she was runner-up to Lounger again. She claimed the last all-state spot in 8th with her PR of 11:02 at the state finals. So, sub 11 minutes. That is the only question left to be answered. Her teammate Bryn Hurley has won several BWAC dual meets. She was on the podium at the Blue Water Meet of Champions and the Marysville Invitational and has a PR of 12:20. She's also run a 5:47 in the mile, so pretty solid miler there too. Lillian Rutali of Marysville was undefeated in her dual meet competition. She won the MAC Gold Championship. Her 2024 PR is 12:48, but she has run a 12:19. Samantha Langolf has run a 12:21 and has a podium finish at the Anchor Bay Invitational and the MAC White Champs, while her teammate Haley Sharp went 12:42. And both of these girls are now on the top performance list for PHN for cross country after they had a stellar fall distance season. Here are some other names I thought were worth mentioning on the distance side of things. Stella Bennon, Cardinal Mooney. She has an 800 PR of 2:43, a 1600 PR of 5:48, and a 3200 PR of 12:36. Charlotte O'Brien of Imlay City. 243-800, 559-1600. Evelyn Buckley of Macomb Lutheran North, 244-800, 553-1600, 1246-3200. Ella Thornton of St. Clair, 244-800, 557-1600. And then Avery Stallman of Macomb Lutheran North, 246-800, 1244-3200. All right, let's look at the hurdling events. And if you're at all familiar with Blue Water area athletics, you probably know who's at the top of this list. Sadie Dykstra of Yale. She has dominated the hurdling events since coming on the scene as a freshman. Last season, she added state champion to her continuing list of achievements. She won the D2 state finals in the 300 hurdles, 45 seconds flat, along with placing as the runner-up in the 100 hurdles in 15.19. Dykstra was undefeated in every single hurdle event she ran the entire season before the state meet. Dykstra's teammate, Kira Taube, finished second only to her the entire season, including regionals. And Kira's bests are 15.77 in the hundreds and 47.5 for the 300s. Allie Markle of Marine City narrowly missed qualifying for the D2 state meet. She finished third to those ladies in her best of 50.19. She won the Muskrat Classic Invitational in both hurdling events, and she was a podium finisher in the MAC Blue. Mariah Turner was third at the Marysville Invitational in the 300s in 49.99, and she runs for Port Huron High. In D4, Dryden's Kayla Fitchett ran 51.97 and was fourth in her regional. So looking at relays can be a little tricky because when students graduate or you have different athletes swap in and out or you're subbing athletes who haven't done it before, it's not always possible to predict relay times or teams, but the preview is based on any returning runners and last season's fastest time. So if you see names that might swap out or times that could change, that is why. So let's start with the 4x100 relay. North Branch had the fastest time in the area with 51.06, and the two returning runners are Aubrey Deshotsky and Rowan Conley. They've lost their all-state sprinter and anchor Clemens, along with another senior, Sarah Monroe. So the question is, can this relay rebuild upon last year's school record, regional championship, and state qualifying run? Now, Deshotsky has some serious speed, but rebuilding a relay without the area's top sprinter is going to be a pretty tough rebuild. Almont comes in next at 53.1 seconds with Genesis Fisher, Lauren Webster, and Lola Battaglia. The Raiders won the Blue Water Meet of Champions and their D3 regional in this event, but they also lost a relay leg to graduation. Webster is the only senior they have, so they might have enough experience and depth to find another runner to sub in for pretty consistent success across the season. Yale is 54.13 seconds. Sophie Mongeli, Natalie Karatko, Ariel Reynolds, and Rory Cowie. They took first at the Marysville Invitational, and all the runners are returning. Port Huron Northern at 54.5 seconds. Ava Gonzer, Addison Cruciano, Summer Knopfs, and Kate Van Howe. Now, the Huskies have their work cut out for them because they're in a D1 regional, but their team is young, and they have a fast league, and perhaps that will help pull down their times and give them more experience. Looking at the 4x200 relay, the fastest time coming back this year is Armada with 152.08. That's Claire Sneezak, Brooklyn Kuhn, and Christina Semyon, and question mark who will be the fourth runner. It could be Mansfield, who I mentioned earlier, as improving in the sprints. They were fourth at regionals last year. So if you throw in any combination of them, they could contend for a league title. Marysville has a time of 153.71. Catherine Guazala and Jenna Evanhack, those are the two members that come back. They were second in the MAC Gold. They've lost two to graduation, including Carly Woolham, who was their fastest sprinter. So, like other teams, the Vikings have some rebuilding to do. Croslex at 155.48. Melody Persig, Ashton Temple, Ava Oleski. They need a fourth member, but they won the BWAC last year. Yale, 155.11. Sophie Mongoli, Rory Cowie, Natalie Krotko, and Elizabeth Ford. They have a lot of young underclassmen here. And if you were to able to sub in any of the Bulldogs sprint stars, because they seem to have a pretty big team, you could possibly, get a faster relay. Port Huron Northern, 155.24, Olivia Hill, Addison Cruciano, Summer Knopf, and Sophie Harris. They were 5th at the Blue Water Meet of Champions, and all their runners return. A couple of mentions. Anchor Bay had a 4x1 at 53.3 and a 4x2 at 154. But in D1, that's several seconds off the team times that are top in their region. Dryden went 52 and 149, which is pretty exceptional for D4. But they graduated almost their entire relay, including a couple of all-state athletes who went on to run collegiately. So it just remains to be seen what they can do there. All right, looking at the 4x400 relay. Once again, if you follow Blue Water Athletics at all, you know that Yale is the indisputable favorite because they were mostly untouchable all season. Kira Taube, Julia Ferguson, Madeline Sepsi, Sadie Dykstra. The closest anyone ever got within this relay team was 2 seconds, and that was Goodrich, who has a state champion in the 800 meters on their team, Layla Jordan. Yale won the BWAC. They set the league record. Every invitational, they won regionals. They were undefeated until the state finals, where they took 5th in 406. 2 of their members were only freshmen, so that 406 will probably drop by this year's end. Personal opinion, I think they could gun for a state title. Just saying. Armada, 418. That was Brooklyn Kuhn, Claire Sneezak, Christina Semyon, and a relay leg they have to replace. Kuhn and Sneezak return. They both ran in this event as freshmen, and Armada was all-state that year. If you pair that with Semyon or Allison Mansfield, who've both gone 62 or under indoors, well, this relay just got a little more interesting. Marine City has a time of 4:24. Allie Markle, Madison Marlett, and Claire Krasuski, they dropped more than half a minute throughout their season last year, and they won the Blue Water Meet of Champions. They do have 3 legs returning. They lost one to graduation, but Krasuski has also run a 64-second open 400. So looking ahead to the 4x800 meter relay, Croslex comes in with the fastest time from last year, but they also lost 2 pretty important legs of the relay. Their time was 9:46. They won the BWAC. They set the record there at 10:02, and then they reset that record, which was a school record, in a scorching regionals race, taking second in 9:46. They lost Abby Barkley and then 800-meter specialist Morgan Newton. Both graduated, so that really leaves a big question mark. Will they be able to fill that hole with some of their up-and-coming cross-country runners? They had some good freshmen this year, so remains to be seen. Armada has a time of 10:01. 2 runners remain, Brooklyn Kuhn and Claire Sneezak. They face the same graduation issue as Croslex. They lost 2 members of their relay, including their fastest 800 runner, Ava Baltiera. They just squeaked into the state finals by hitting an AQ at regionals, but they also have a lot of refiguring to do to find 2 more legs. St. Clair has a time of 10:42. Ella Thornton, Molly McNabb, Aubrey Sargent are 3 that ran on it before. As the MAC Gold champs, they only lost 1 leg. And the Saints always have a consistent distance program, and they have several girls who made huge improvements in their running during the cross-country season. Macomb Lutheran North at 10:47. Bella LePierre, Evelyn Buckley, and Avery Stallman. This doesn't really tell the whole story with their time, because each of the people listed above that have run a leg on this relay has run close to 240 or under in the 800. And that's without Samantha Whitlam, who ran 222 as a freshman and could offer a solid contribution in the relay. And all but LaPierre are just sophomores. So pretty young team. Marysville at 10:47, Jocelyn Chapman, Lydia McBride, Addison Stevens. They had substantial time improvements in 2024. Most of them were underclassmen, and anything's possible if they can find that 4th leg. Port Huron Northern at 10:50, Miley Cahill, Brooklyn Schott, Haley Sharp, Isabella Nestel. Once again, more young blood in this relay. And there's also Samantha Langolf to consider, who was running all winter with the other ladies as part of the Blue Water Track Club. She helped them qualify for states in the DMR, the distance medley relay. These ladies had monster jumps in their cross-country times, so it's not really a stretch to say that this distance crew could really see this relay time drop significantly. And then there's Yale. Cecilia Ford, Isabel Goulding, Lillian Bender, Lauren Fowler. Same story as Macomb Lutheran North, Port Huron Northern, St. Clair. Lots of cross-country distance improvement and underclassmen that have moved up with experience and different people that could be rotated around to see how they fit. All right, let's get into some field events. Okay, so here's Dykstra again. Adding to her hurdles titles, she was state champion in the long jump. She has a best of 18 feet, 2.75 inches, undefeated all year, including Yale Relays, BWAC Championships, Marysville Invitational, Goodrich Invitational, Regionals, and the Blue Water Meet of Champions. Her teammate Taubie tried the long jump for the first time indoors and jumped a pretty impressive 17.4, which during the indoor season ranked her in the top 10 statewide. So I guess it remains to see if she will add this to her regular meet rotation, since you can only do 4 events and they're pretty stacked. All right, Port Huron High's Valencia Price is here again. She qualified for indoor track and field states in the long jump and has a best of 16.6. High jump, Yale again. Kira Taubie is the defending BWAC champ, BWAC record holder, and now indoor state title holder. She cleared 5.6 outright on her first attempt in the Macomb Meet of Champions, and as regional champ and D2 state runner-up, she finished undefeated in all regular season jumps, but won. And the only person that beat her was the eventual D4 state champion, who was Olivia Findley of Marlette. So Taubie's put in the work. She's gone to different national meets. She's been working with a Michigan Racers Club coach. So, look for 5.8 on the horizon. It's definitely on the radar. In D1 for Anchor Bay, Alicia Goodlock has a season best of 5 feet outdoors, but had already surpassed that at the beginning of the indoor season, jumping 5.2. She won a lab indoor meet. She kept her spot on the top 10 indoor list. She was third at her regional last year, but I'm sure she's looking to make that first outdoor state meet appearance as a senior. Croslex's Ava Oleski finished second to Kira Taubie at the BWAC Championships. She jumped 5 feet several times. Richmond's Brianna Pauley, Armada's Valeria Ricosa, they've both jumped consistently in the upper 4-foot range. Ricosa's hit 5 feet. And Grace Askew of St. Clair hit 4.11 and was second in the MAC Gold. So shot put and discus. So Janae Hudson of Marysville dominated all the throwing events. And that ended when she won her state championship and graduated last year. So the shot put and discus are, once again, anyone's game. Deshetsky of North Branch won the BWAC shot put last year in 37.75 and set a new record in the BWAC discus in 127.1. She was only second to Hudson at regionals and really is the area's heavy favorite in probably both throwing events. She was fifth in the shot put and sixth in discus at the state meet and earned all state honors. Another North Branch thrower, Katie Gill, won the discus at the Thumb Meet of Champs with a PR toss of 110 feet 1 inch. And rounding out the top 3 BWAC throwers is Caitlin Walter of Croslex, who was second in both events at the BWAC Championships, and she has best of 32.4 in the shot, 110 feet in the disc. Showing promise in these events is Riley Agee of Armada, who was sixth at the Macomb County Championship as a freshman with a throw of 33 feet 2 inches. And her twin sister Haley won the county JV meet in the discus in 85.7. For the MAC Red, Corin Hutton of Anchor Bay has a shot put best of 35 feet and a discus PR of 101. All right, pole vault, the one that everybody loves to watch, but most of us are afraid to try. Almont's Madison Niedermeyer is the returning BWAC champion. She has a best of 8 foot 9 inches, and she also won the Davison Twilight Invitational, which is a pretty big meet. Imlay City's Kendall Donahue was second to Niedermeyer in the BWAC, vaulting her best of 8.3. Autumn Pratt of Macomb Lutheran North and Jessica Peters of North Branch both have personal bests of 8 feet, and they were third and fourth at regionals, both of them just missing that state qualifying jump. Madeline Ullenbreck of Port Huron Northern has only competed in pole vault a handful of times, but she still has a best of 8 feet, while Lily Lynn Martin of Almont has a PR of 7.8. Paige Sheldon of Marysville has a vault best of 8.6. Avery Haverkamp of Marine City won the Mac Blue with a vault of 8 feet. All right. That wraps it up for the 2025 Outdoor Track and Field season preview. I can't wait to get back out there and see all of you running, hurdling, jumping, throwing. You can find results and articles on bluewaterrunning.org or our social media sites throughout the season. You can follow Blue Water Running on Instagram, X, TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube. You can also check out the photo albums of meets that will be linked through the website and download and share them. That would be great if you did, because it helps spread the word about Blue Water Running's mission, which is to feature and celebrate the achievements of high school and collegiate cross-country and track and field athletes from our area. Coverage of Blue Water Running is sponsored in part by Elite Feet of Port Huron. If you need running shoes, spikes, or running apparel, they have a friendly and knowledgeable staff to help you find just what you need, and they're big fans of running too. They are located at 327 Huron Ave in downtown Port Huron. Verlindy Insurance, located in Richmond, Michigan, is a new supporter of coverage on Blue Water Running. Now, training as an athlete teaches you resilience and preparation. Apply those lessons to your life with your insurance plans. Be ready for anything with them by your side. I have my home, auto, and umbrella insurance policies with Verlindy, and I can tell you from personal experience that their rates and customer services are second to none. I have 2 teenage drivers and a dishwasher leak that just flooded my kitchen, so trust me when I say they're the best. You can visit verlindyinsurance.com or email Noah at Verlindy Insurance, that's VERLINDE insurance.com for more information. If you are interested in sponsoring coverage or partnering with Blue Water Running as an advertiser to reach and support local athletes, please reach out via our website or social media channels. Once again, thank you so much for listening to the Blue Water Running podcast, and I'll see you soon.